Hello, I am Scarlett Eugene, which is my name for this channel. I'm here to conduct a collective reading. I got some nerves because I haven't done a collective reading for public viewing in quite a while, so this is a pretty raw experience for me, but I wanted to kind of go over what a collective reading entails. So you can believe it in a variety of styles, like how it works. Some people believe that you can just kind of relate to anything. You know, you can find something to take away from anything that's being said, like whether it's a conversation or a book or a story of some kind. So even if you have a hard time accepting readings in general, there's usually at least something that can leave you thinking, hopefully. Not thinking too hard, but, you know, just kind of contemplating a little bit. But I believe that the goal of these readings is to read for you. Like, whoever is watching this, I'm reading for you, basically. And it will probably be a few different people, but I'm still reading for you because we're all connected. So it is kind of like a personal reading. The only thing is, there's no specific question. So I'm not coming in this with like an expectation of asking a specific question and answering it. It's just kind of, let's see what comes up, let's see what we can talk about, and I hope you can enjoy and forgive my nerves. So let's get into it. I decided to go old school today. I'm using the original tarot, Rider-Waite, artwork by Pamela Colman Smith. I should know that off the top of my head, which I kind of do. So let's take a deep breath and sit and relax. Yeah, I'm gonna get into it like I said. I just want to see what you're feeling, what you're going through. Whoever's watching this. Let's see what message I have for you. Okay. So one problem that I have with my camera setup is displaying the cards as they are laid out. I usually start with 6 cards, and then if I feel like I need to pull any more, I will. But as far as like showing them all at once, it's kind of hard because I have my camera set up a specific way. But I've got 6 cards here, and they're predominantly swords. And when it comes to swords, it represents thought, mentality. So 3 out of these 6 cards are swords, which means that whatever's being dealt with, it has to do mostly with the way the thoughts are interacting with the situation. So as a whole, the situation is quite placid and calm, because here you see the Queen of Cups. She's always kind of at peace. The Queen of Cups is very in touch with her emotions, and she is brave and willing to deal with the waves of emotion that come at her, because that's where her seat is. She's always sitting where the waves are coming and lapping at her feet. So in contrast to that, I got the Nine of Swords, and you can obviously see how much anxiety and trepidation is in that card. So it's like, here is the reality of, we have the bravery to be able to look at this rigid, difficult situation and say, I have what I need internally to be able to deal with this. So anybody who's watching this goes out to you, and it's kind of a message that things feel really, let's see, what do they feel like? Let me tap into that a little bit. Things just feel in a conflict because the Five of Swords is here. This is one of my least favorite cards, by the way. It's a conflict with inner action, I think, is what it represents today. Like, a part of you feels like you're saying one thing and doing another, or maybe someone in your life, their actions do not match up with their words, and it's especially prominent right now. So you're just kind of feeling like you want to be done. You want to pull away and say, you know what, I want to shut down because I don't want to feel confused by your actions. And this kind of ties in with the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is kind of a tricky card for me to read, especially because, for one thing, I am quite emotional. So I don't really relate to her because she is detached. She looks at situations in a very linear fashion, and she deals with things kind of outside of herself. Like, well, of course she's related to Libra, and Libra in general is quite detached because it's able to go outside of the self and look at a situation from an external standpoint. So it's interesting that these two queens appeared today because their methods for dealing with things are so different. But I think we need both. I think it's important to not be afraid of the waves, and it's important to kind of, at times, step outside of that particular situation where the waves are coming and look at what can be done, look at what's available. So it feels like there is confusion with the actions of others. Like, someone is throwing you for a loop, and maybe they're making false promises, or they said they would stop doing something and they keep doing it. Like, for some of you, it might be a person who promised they would quit some sort of, I don't know if it's substance abuse or just some sort of unhealthy pattern. Like, they said that they would stop, but here they are, either doing it behind your back so they think and you know it, or in plain sight and they just keep extending the time. But this is coming up for some reason, I'm not sure why, but other than that, the theme kind of is the same. It's like this theme of inner conflict, a difference between words and action, and a feeling of seeing the waves come and knowing you have to deal with it, with these waves of emotion and sentiment, and it's challenging, but let's get a clarifier. So a clarifier basically just gives a little more insight about the theme that I'm talking about. So let's clarify this theme a little bit more. Queen of Wands. All these queens, all the queens. It's never a bad idea to embody the queen energy, I don't think. And she is quite sassy. She is quite confident. Oh, she's confident, of course. And she just shows another side to the persona of dealing with a problem. Like, we have the queen who's ready to face it, who is ready to get hit by the waves. I keep hearing waves, waves, waves. And we have the queen who is ready to detach emotionally from the situation as best as she can and view it with clarity, whatever clarity is available. And we have the Queen of Wands, who knows when she's in the right. And when you know you're in the right, you can act on that. But the contrast to that is to know when you're in the wrong. So there's a message here that if it's you whose actions aren't lining up with words, like if you're struggling with keeping promises or doing what you said you were going to do, there's a message here that you can become in alignment with uniting these two premises, words and action. So I'm going to pull a card for that, just in case. How can we... Ugh, my camera died. Uh-oh. This has happened before. I'm just kind of going to wrap up this reading. I'm so sorry. So what I left off with was Justice. And this card was pulled in relation to how can we unify our actions and words? How can we keep our promises? And Justice, like the Queen of Swords, is related to Libra. So there is this message of detaching as best we can from a situation, an emotional situation, and kind of looking around to see what can be done. Like, what is the easiest thing within our arsenal of dealing with our shakiness, our this feeling that we can't keep our commitments and our promises. And, you know, Justice is a good sign because in the end, as long as we maintain the goal of wanting to unify our actions and our words, it will resolve itself. We just have to keep it in mind. We have to keep it in our sight. So this is a good time to look at our shadier sides, I think, and kind of focus on balancing and really getting to the bottom of how we can balance all of ourselves. So just, if you feel the waves coming at you, try and detach to such an extent that you can bring your logic into the situation a little bit more. Like, as much as possible. Take a breath and really settle in, and keep in mind that it's going to clarify itself too. So you don't have to do all the work. Our work is mostly recognizing where we're out of balance. So if we can admit to ourselves that we're out of balance, the main message is keep an eye on that and trust that any effort we put into that is going to be successful. So this was my first collective reading in a really long time. It's a little bit shaky, but I promise it'll get better. I'm excited to be doing these for you guys, and thanks to anyone who's watching. I hope next time my camera won't die in the middle. And yeah, that's that. Have a good one.